Hey, welcome to the Relationships and Chill podcast. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about how do you get and how do you maintain a happy, healthy relationship that continues to progress and get better over time. How do you do that? Well, we're going to be walking you guys through some steps that we believe will help you obtain just that goal. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Relationships and Chill, the podcast for singles and couples about how to find and cultivate the relationship you've always dreamed of, based on trust and honest communication. Why waste your time going through the typical dating obstacle course, only to end up with drama, jealousy, and heartbreak, when you can find the love of your life and live happily ever after? So sit back, chill, and get ready to make relationships great again.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings. Season's greetings, matter of fact. This is the Relationships and Chill podcast. I am your gracious host, Coach R. Anthony. I am joined today by my lovely wife, Coach Elulu. Y'all give it up for Coach Elulu. You know what I'm saying? What's happening? What's happening, baby?
Hey, everybody.
Baby. Hey, today's episode, is first of all sponsored by the new checklist, Husband Material Checklist, which will be out very soon. So you guys stay tuned, ladies, if you are looking to upgrade your game in terms of what you are attracting. If you're tired of attracting guys who are wasting your time and you want something to kind of work from to stimulate your attraction mechanism to make it a little bit better, then I promise you this is the one you want, because I've had a lot of female friends, a couple of them, they read it and they were literally, now I'm not just saying this because it's my guy, but I am literally saying this because I didn't just want to put together like a checklist, which was the original idea, but I wanted to kind of create a guide where women can actually see how they've been attracting what they've been attracting, and to start to position yourselves to attract a higher caliber of man. So, and with this guide, you'll be able to observe who the man is as he's presenting himself to you, and you'll be looking for subtle clues, subtle things that will let you know out the gate what kind of problems you could potentially have, and red flags that sometimes go overlooked because of the happiness, the excitement of possibly finding somebody. He's saying all the right words and he's doing all the right things, but underneath it all, there might be something that you're not looking at, and he may be using that as a way to cover up the things that really show who he truly is. So with this guide, you'll be able to at least knock off 90% of the errors that guys bring. So, my woman, what you think about it so far, man?
I think it's great.
Of course.
I know, right?
But yeah, it'll be out soon. So you guys be on the lookout for that on relationshipsandchill.com. And like I said, the reason why that's important, and that ties into this episode. This is episode number 29, by the way. How to get and maintain a happy relationship. Now, it's not going to be what you think. This is not going to be what you think it is going to be. It's going to be a whole lot better, but it's not what you think. See, when people want a relationship, and say you're single, or even if you're in a relationship, everything starts off good when you get into a relationship initially. And when you're out single looking for a relationship, you want that excitement, you want that joy, you want that happiness, you want that person to bring that extra oomph into your life, right? But somewhere along the lines, it goes in the complete opposite direction from where it was going. Where, before you was appreciative of the person, you really enjoy their company. Now you like, get away from me. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to hang around them. All y'all do is argue and fuss and fight, and or you just in a relationship where there is no connection anymore. You guys have just kind of gotten to a place where there's nothing. You feel like there's nothing else to know and learn about each other. So you just kind of just stay there, and there's no progression in the relationship. But ultimately, that brings a sense of unfulfillment or unhappiness, or it begins to cause you to look outside of your relationship and say, well, they're happy, or these people are happy, or this woman found what she's looking for, this guy found what he's looking for, why can't I? And so it causes a sense of, kind of like a sense of depression a little bit, like a small form of depression, where it's like, as soon as you think things are going good, or you think you found somebody of interest, it goes in the opposite direction. It doesn't work out. So over time, what people begin to do, and I know I barely ain't even stopped to think, but that's the thing, but to take a breath. But over time, you start to feel like that's not going to happen for you. That's not in the cards for you, And I think it's very important to kind of have an idea of what you're up against. Because if you don't, you'll continue to go through the same process, the ups of, finding somebody that you really like, and the excitement, and then they do something, or they say something, or something happens in the relationship where it starts to go in the opposite direction. So how do you maintain the relationship quality that it was at the beginning, or even progress it to making it better?
Right.
And I think the secret is you have to redefine. You have to redefine happiness. You have to redefine what you're looking for in a person. We chase, happiness like we're chasing like a high, you know what I'm saying? Like we're chasing, it's like an addiction. We chase that feeling of like, this person makes me feel this way, so I like them because they make me feel this way. But once they kind of either get more comfortable with you, or they really show you who they really are, or they got something going on, the energy starts to shift, then then the relationship starts to shift, because people are happy, initially, but that gives way to being unhappy. You know what I'm saying? So you could if you're happy right now, then that means you have an opportunity to not be happy. So it's like, if you're happy right now, my woman looking kind of confused.
I'm waiting till you finish so I can get all the information. That's usually what happens. Like, I'll be like, what? And then you just keep talking, and then it slowly like comes together for me. Don't mind my face right now.
Yeah, I got you, baby. No, I'm not minding. I just think it's funny because they can't see it. I can see it, but I know what you're doing. I know exactly what you're doing. But okay, so you're looking for somebody. You're looking for a relationship. You're looking for somebody to make you happy, right? And you find somebody and you feel happy because you're with somebody. You're with somebody you enjoy. You're with somebody that you like. But being in a position of being happy puts you in a position of not being happy when that thing or that person doesn't do what they were doing before.
Okay.
So your happiness is predicated upon something that someone is doing.
Right.
Whereas before, I always say it like this. If you can't create and maintain your own quote unquote happiness, then how can you expect somebody else to create and maintain the happiness too? Because you're actually expecting them to do something that you can't even do yourself.
Exactly.
And they can't do it for themselves because you attracted them. And like will always attract like.
There's the kicker.
And that's the kicker, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like will always attract like. So, but what do you think about that, baby? What do you think about just happiness overall?
I think it's just one of those words that's become, it's like the things now, like, there's like a whole bunch of those sayings that people just mindlessly say and don't really like take much thought into them.
Right.
And so you just hear it, and it's just all over memes and, all this stuff going around on the internet and within conversations of people wanting to find happiness and, but I don't think people really
satisfaction even.
Yeah.
Because if you don't define it, then how can you know when you found it?
Exactly.
If it's just a arbitrary, vague thing.
Exactly. It's like how you, like when you've had conversations with like different women that you're trying to help with whatever questions, stuff they got going on. And men, yeah, that's true. But it always, when you share with me about the different conversations you have, it always ends up being like pretty much similar thing. Like people are like, oh, I'm just gonna know the right one when I see it. I'll know when I'll be happy, or I'll like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
like
arbitrary.
This shell of a word. And then when you like, okay, so like, what is that? And
right.
we're like, I have no idea.
Yeah, they like, huh? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I'll just know.
Right.
But that's the weird thing about it. Like, people expect just know, like just to wake up one day or realize something. And you know what's weird? Like, when I started studying and looking at the word intuition, and you know how people just say women follow your intuition and women's intuition is right and all that kind of stuff. Well, I'm like, that can't be true, because there's more women complaining about problems than there are men. So either they're not listening to it at all, or we gotta actually find out what that word means. You know what I mean? We might have to look into what that word actually means. So I did a little study on the word intuition, and it just means to ponder or to think about.
Okay.
The initial word, now of course over time diction changed and people like, this is what it means, but it has nothing to do with the original word. And the power is in the origins. The power is not in what people define things as or what they think they mean. The power is in the original intent of the word. So I always go back to the original intent of a word to understand the purpose of a word. So when you use a word, it actually you take on the power of that word, the intention of the word, not the diction or what people currently use it as. Even though you may think it means this, it doesn't mean just arbitrarily. You'll just know. You just have this sense of whatever.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you make decisions based on what you believe, you know, about a person. You know, what you're familiar with, what you understand about people, what you like, what you're attracted to, what you're drawn to, what you know. Like I said, you know certain things that you like. You know, like I used to be attracted to Bobby Brown. He looked like a young Bobby Brown. So you know what I'm saying? So you like, it's not your intuition. It's more portions to the equation than just, oh, I just didn't feel right even from the beginning. Well, at the end of the day, like, it's not even about a feeling. It means to ponder. Now that you know for a fact that this is an issue or this person has these problems, now you want out. You know what I'm saying? Because now you know. But you know, at the same time, we follow quote unquote intuition without actually checking into something. And so we have a feeling that this could be wrong because we didn't fully check it out in the first place.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? So that's really the intuition. Is like, now I'm becoming more aware. So I'm aware that I didn't know this stuff. So now I need to pull back, or I should go back. You know, but people just keep going forward, especially women. Now, what I will say women like to do, and this is kind of off the subject, we kind of got off on a tangent, but I forgot what I was about to say. But
what women like will do?
What women? I forgot.
What, not follow their intuition?
Nah, well, it's not even the intuition part, but I can't remember now. It just slipped my mind.
What?
Yeah, I know it's going to be good, too. Anyway.
I could tell that was going to be good.
Yeah, it was going to be really good. I'll remember. By the end of this episode, it's going to come back to me, and I'll tell y'all. But, yeah, but I think, ultimately, you have to redefine things. Or, you know, come to a realization of what they really mean.
Right.
And so, like, for me, happiness, even when I was single, before I met you, happiness didn't really mean anything to me. Because I understand that if you're happy, you have the opportunity to be not happy. And when you're not happy, people make decisions to try to get happy. So if you're in a relationship with someone and you associate them with being happy, then you associate them with being unhappy. Now you're going to look for something outside. Now, one thing about happiness is you don't look to be unhappy. But when you're unhappy, you look to be happy. But when you're associating people with unhappiness, you look outside of that situation to something else because you don't feel like what makes you unhappy makes you happy. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense, huh? Not to you. But I'll say it in a different way. I'm trying to follow along.
I'm keeping up. Go ahead.
She's sleepy. So
go ahead.
So I'll reiterate it in a different way. So if we don't, when we're happy, we don't seek to be unhappy. You just want to, you want to remain happy. But when you are unhappy, you seek to try to find happiness.
Okay.
Right? But when you are unhappy, you don't look into something that makes you unhappy to make you happy. You look outside of what's making you unhappy to make you happy.
Oh, okay.
So if you're in a relationship that's unhappy, you're going to look for something outside or to remove yourself from that relationship in order to get happy. Because how can you believe that you can be happy when you're unhappy and looking into the thing that makes you unhappy to make you happy? So it's not possible. So for me, before we even got married, I had to, like I said, ask myself and look at happiness from a different perspective, because it doesn't really mean anything, because it's going to be something that is spontaneous. It's based on a feeling. It's based on circumstances. When things are going good, I'm feeling good. Oh man, I just hit the lottery. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be happy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I just got out the shower. I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever it is, your thing that makes you happy. But that means now that once you get dressed and you start moving around, you back dirty again. So now, are you not happy? So, you know what I'm saying? Like, so realistically, like for me, I had to redefine what happiness meant. You know, happiness really has no concrete definition other than what you give it. But when you have it, that tends to be it. You see what I'm saying? Like, once you have happiness, you don't look for anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're unhappy, you look for anything to make you back happy. So it becomes like a drug. It becomes like an addiction to find something that makes you feel a certain way. So it's really based on a feeling.
Right. That's what I was just going to say. So it's ultimately something that you can't really go off of.
And you can't control.
Right.
It's outside of your control. Yeah, I think that's really what I'm getting at. It's outside of your control. It's based on how you feel at a moment, and it's based on things outside of yourself. It's based on an effect on you.
Oh, okay, yep.
Yeah, it's an effect on you. It's not you. It's what happens to you that makes you happy or makes you unhappy. So I'm like, I cannot expect a person to do that for me, because it's even hard enough for me to do it for myself. For
yourself.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So how can I realistically expect someone to do that for me? It just doesn't work from my perspective. So I started to redefine it. You know, I started to redefine things and really look at it. I know one of the main things I was like, I have to have a woman that I can communicate with. So part of keeping and maintaining a healthy and happy relationship, quote unquote happy. But in order to keep a good relationship good, you first have to know what is good for you. You have to know what is good for the person that you are and the person that you are most consistent with in yourself, regardless of your feelings, regardless of this happening, that happening. What is consistent with you? Because I'll tell you, like, I'll be the first to tell you, like, a lot of women, I couldn't be consistent with them because I didn't want them. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really want them, or if I could have wanted them, I didn't want that at the time. So at that time in my life, I was like, I'm not even thinking about being in a relationship. So I'm not even going to look for a woman I'm not even going to take a woman or a situation like that serious, because I don't want it. Period. I don't care how good she is. I just wasn't open to it. So ladies, a lot of guys out there, I don't care what you do, they will never, at this point, if they meet you in this group or in this time of their life, they will never, ever get into a relationship with you. It's just not, they just don't want to do it. And they're associating you, and this is why a lot of guys get married to another woman, even though they were dealing with you. is because at that time of their life, they did not want to be in a relationship, and they met you. As they started seeing the benefits of a relationship, potentially some guys, as they started seeing the benefits and started understanding more, now they're looking for somebody outside of that time frame that they've encapsulated as, I don't want to get into a relationship, or I don't want to get married. And you just so happen to be in that time. So now they're looking for somebody to start new and fresh with, that they can build a relationship with. So a lot of women feel like, okay, well, he using me to get this, and then he gonna move on to somebody else. And that's true. For a lot of cases, I didn't do that. I already knew what I wanted. I just know I didn't want it then. I knew in my 20s, I was like, hey, listen, I'm out here in these streets, so I don't know what to tell you. We're going to have but when you with me, we're going to have a blast. You're going to learn. We're going to enjoy. It's going to be great. But this ain't going to be it. So, but they held on as long as they could. They squeezed for dear life, baby. They squeezed for dearest life. So, but it's funny, but it ain't funny, because I get a lot of women are hurting because of that. Because, there's a lot of guys out there who won't do right regardless, but they could honestly be really good guys though. And that's why that's really why I created this. Yeah, that's why I created this guide, because it really is going to help a woman stand out and say, no, like, I'm way more than just that. Like, for you to get with you as the woman, for a guy to get with you as the woman, you have to position yourself to be only a wife, not a girlfriend, because only boys have girlfriends. Not just a situationship, or not just somebody's woman, or somebody. Well, you could be somebody. That's actually the highest title, but somebody's lady, or somebody's old lady, or somebody's, whatever. But the commitment, the guide is designed to help women be the type of woman that a man needs and wants to commit to. Not just a woman that, is complaining about this and doing that, but the guide is designed to help position you and set you apart from any other woman. So I don't care what, like when I saw you, baby, I didn't care what I had going on. I had to get you. I had to, because for me, I saw what I was looking for in you before I even ever spoke to you. So, but because I had done the pre-work and I enjoyed myself, but I was doing more of the work on myself. I was reading, I was learning, I was questioning things, I was desiring, I was, going through the process of putting myself in a position to be a husband, to be a man, that could create a relationship with a woman that is lifelong. Mm-hmm. So I had to start thinking. I was like, man, the only way this is going to work, and I'm gonna get more into that. But I had to change my mindset from a happy relationship. I had to redefine it to say to myself, I want a relationship that's progressive, that's constantly growing, because a relationship is going to progress somewhere. It's just, is it going to progress forward, or is it going to regress or progress backwards to where y'all are not working together anymore? Exactly. But it's going to go somewhere in whatever direction. You just have to set the direction in place that you want it to go. So, I said to myself, I want a relationship that's constantly improving. It's going to require me to constantly improve, which, is going to cause me to have to continuously improve in order for the relationship to continuously improve. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to need someone who is also consistently improving. So as I got to know you and as we got to know each other, and I saw that was something that you were interested in, and, I would tell you things and you would do it. So it's like, okay, everything ain't gravy, but at least she's listening to me and she's progressing. She's moving towards something. And so that to me was what won me over. You know what I'm saying? Because it was one thing, like, I was like, that's gonna be my woman, but at the same time, I could have like, that ain't my woman. I could have been like, hey man, I missed that boat, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that because I ain't settling for nothing that I don't want. But man, it turned out to be way better than that. But knowing and redefining what everybody else said you should be looking for, a happy relationship, this person should make you feel this way. Woo, woo, like, man, forget that. I'm trying to help her help me or help us.
Right.
By progressing. That's the only way, that's the only way that it could have worked. But like,
I mean, really for any relationship though, right?
I mean, it has to be, but people are not defining and seeing it that way. Because it won't make no difference if you're not looking at it as a progressive thing. Like where you guys have to constantly get better. You're looking for the other person to get better. You know what I'm saying? Like most couples are looking for, hey, why ain't you doing this? And they're like, why you ain't doing this? And then next thing you know, it's a big fight about what the other person ain't doing.
Right. But
neither one of them are actually taking the time and say, well, this needs to be the standard for our relationship. Right. The standard has to be improvement.
That's right.
That's getting the relationship. Just redefining your perspective on redefining your perspective on what a person is supposed to bring. I think that's ultimately what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, redefining what a person is supposed to ultimately bring to your life is what's going to make the relationship enjoyable. Because you'll be able to see, because the funny thing is, you're actually getting everything that you want in a relationship from a person. It's just the things that you leave out. It's the things that people leave out that causes the problems. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the things that people leave out that causes the major problems. Like, yeah, I want a man. Well, shoot, there's a lot of men. You getting them. Or I want a woman. You getting women. You know what I'm saying? You just don't know what to do with them.
Right.
But what kind of woman? You know what I'm saying? Like the ideal woman for you, just a woman, just a man. You know what I'm saying? Like that, you getting them all day long.
Right.
But until you start redefining and defining things more accurately, I think that's what it is. It's just more accurate definitions and accurate depictions of what you want, not some pie in the sky, some fantasy, something you seen on TV and something you seen on Instagram, a picture. Oh, they look like how I want it to look. But looks are deceiving.
They sure are.
Looks are extremely deceiving. So you can't just go off of a look. You can't just go off of that.
Right. So getting more specific, not just with who you're looking for, but the type of relationship you want to have.
Who you're looking for in the confines of who you are. Because people just want these relationships. And two things. They want relationships based on what they haven't gotten or what they don't want. They're saying, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want this. And they're literally attracting everything they don't want because they're so adamant and so energetic about what they don't want that's what they are really putting into their subconscious because that's where the energy goes. The attention goes to what you don't want. So now what happens is you're drawn to a guy who is everything you don't want. But because you are so focused on what you don't want, it kind of masks him into the things that you didn't say you wanted. Or the things that you didn't mention that you wanted. Mm-hmm. So you're like, oh, I take some of that. I like that. He makes me laugh. Okay. But then you already like funny guys or you already like attractive guys. So that's a given. Mm-hmm. But your energy and the questions that you're asking based on what you don't want is telling him exactly where he needs to be to get you. Because if you ask a guy, for instance, what are you looking for? Right then, he knows exactly what you're meaning. Meaning that you're looking for somebody who's serious. So guess what he's going to tell you? Man, I'm looking for a great relationship with a great woman. I want somebody I can talk to, somebody that, want to talk to me, and somebody that's looking for, like a serious relationship, and, all those beautiful things. And so you eating it up because that's what you want ultimately. But now the don't want start coming in once you start letting down your guard, because now you're allowing him to be comfortable. When you get comfortable, he gets comfortable with being more of who he is. So pay attention to when you get comfortable, what comforts come with his comfortability. That's very important. But ultimately, we all desire something. At the end of the day, like, we all desiring, like, I desired a wife. I'm sure, you desire to be with somebody, you know. And so we all have something that we desire. We all have something that we want. But if you don't define what you want a little bit more, well, we all have wants. But if you're not definitive about what you want, then you won't recognize how it looks when it comes. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So if I go fishing and I say I want bluegills, but if I don't know nothing about bluegills, then any fish that I pull up will do. It could be a catfish, but if I don't recognize the kind of fish that I'm fishing for, then I could just say, well, this is a bluegill. That's the type of fish. If you wasn't aware,
I was putting that together.
Yeah, that's the type of fish. Yeah, it's definitely a type of fish. But the point of it is that if you don't know what you're looking for, you'll define anything as what you want it to be. It'll be whatever you want it to be. But in order to have a want, in order to want something or desire something, you can't fool yourself into thinking that you don't need it or don't want it. A lot of people, that's why I say that, because a lot of people this is very important. So please hear me out, because I notice that a lot of women will do this. They will absolutely, in their hearts, in their minds, in their souls, say they want a husband or want a man. And then when they see their girlfriends, or when they go through a situation, or they just over time, like, I don't want a man. I'm okay with just being by myself. And it's not that you don't want a man or you're okay with being by yourself, which you can be. I'm not saying there's absolutely, that's actually a good thing. But you can't deny and lie to yourself and saying that you don't want it if you have not took the time to redefine what you've been wanting the whole time. So if you have not been specific enough in what you are desiring, then you are calling things that should not be called that. Your man, or whatever you call him, because you're defining a man based on what? If you haven't defined what the kind of man for you would look like, or the kind of woman for you would look like, then you can't be upset at the process, because you have not done the process right. The process of finding the kind of relationship that lasts, that you want to enjoy, that you want to spend time, and you want it to be a lifelong one. If you have not defined that to yourself, then you cannot be upset at the process and lie to yourself and say you don't want that. You're just deceiving yourself. So that's the main thing, with that, just keep that in mind. So I think that's ultimately, for me, that's how you get a relationship. You just start to redefine in your mind. And I think it's different for women and men. I really do think, I know that, matter of fact, the process is slightly different for men and for women. But ultimately it's the same when it starts coming together in the relationship. Like, I know for me, like, my definition or the things I had to go through were different for you. Mm-hmm. But by the time I got you, you were able to benefit from the things that I had worked on.
Right.
Which made our relationship even better. Right?
Right.
Okay.
That's right. They can't see me nodding my head.
No, they can't see you. But what were some of the things that you believe as a woman you had to do to start moving you? What do you, looking back in hindsight, what do you think attributed you to having this type of relationship as a woman?
I was just so, I feel like for me, there was definitely so much more I should have done or could have done, obviously, to prepare for our relationship. But at least at the bare minimum, I in my mind, I had already decided and knew I wanted to be in a relationship with someone where it was progressive and we were growing together. Mm-hmm. So I at least had like that established. And it was already something within myself that I was naturally interested in doing. Mm-hmm. So with that, I think that would there was definitely a lot more I should have been doing. But
like what?
I think that
give them some examples, because I'm sure they want to know. I want to know too.
I'm going blank now. You have to ask me again.
Okay, baby. Listen, I got to do a little repair on my woman. Let me reboot her. You know what I'm saying? Reboot my woman. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. No, I was just joking. All right. So, what would you have done? What do you think, looking back over things you should or could have done to put you or prepare you a little bit more? You got the lead lips.
I got the what?
No, go ahead.
Oh.
You'll get it on the recorder.
Okay. I feel like I didn't know who I was at all. So I would there should have been so much more that I should have already figured out in regards to what I needed, who I was. Like everything was just so undefined and blurry. But that's what I was saying. Like I feel like just like the very small things that I did have in place were powerful enough for me to recognize you mm-hmm. and to be willing to work with you in building our relationship. Mm-hmm. Like knowing that I wanted like a teacher and in a man and a partner, and wanted to grow together in a relationship, and I wanted to be in a relationship with my best friend, and those ones are, I know they're key as well, but there definitely could have been some more that would have made the beginnings of our relationship a little smoother. Yeah. But it was rough.
Ultimately it worked out, you know.
It did.
But like you said, like there's certain things that, and I think it's different depending on what phase of life you're in. Because you use the young tender age of like what, 24
when we met. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, in that position, you know, but then too, you could have been like, nah, it's too, I want somebody a little bit closer to my age range. You know what I'm saying? Like it's 6 years apart for us. Which I ain't saying like it's like a huge.
I didn't think.
But you know what I mean. Like, you know, but I was so young and suave. You know what I'm saying? I really looked 22. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, I think it's a little bit different for men, and most men are really behind women when it comes to relationships, because women seek and desire relationships, whereas men seek sex on the onset. So we become better at persuading and being rejected. Like we're better able to handle that kind of stuff. So we do it more often. And I think women typically have more relationships. I know the women that I met, they had more relationships than me at that time. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not saying that's true across the board. But from my perspective, all the women that I had met had more relationships than me. So, but because I was so, but on the flip side, I had more partners than them. You know what I'm saying? I had more sex than them with a variety of women. Mm-hmm. And on the flip side, they had more relationships with a variety of different men, so to speak. Not necessarily a sexual, but like let's just say from the time they were like 15 or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like for me, I just was like, I was terrified of women at that age.
At that age.
Yeah, but, or just, just that kind of thing, because I didn't want to get nobody pregnant. My mom would have killed me. But, so quickly, to maintain, like for us to maintain this level of a relationship after, we're going on 5 years now. And it's just getting better.
Yeah.
We have our good days and days that are not so smooth or whatever. Uh-huh. But we have way more good days than we don't. But
that's true.
But you know what's crazy is the transitions that we go through. The transitions of, like, I think one of the most important things for us is just to constantly reconnect and reestablish our connection with each other by, just having that friendly dialogue. Mm-hmm. Just talking to you like, that's what I'm working on. That's what I got going on in my life.
Right.
What I got going on in my head.
Which is what makes it so smooth, because it's like we're constantly getting updated. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're growing literally together. Mm-hmm. Even though we might be, working on different things, right. But we're constantly like staying connected together. Right. So it's like like there's no
connected disconnection.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or disconnected connections.
Yeah.
It's like that, but we change as humans, and life changes and things happen in life, and if you're not careful in a relationship, things can change so drastically, so fast that and I've said this many times, that you'll look at the person and you're like, who are you? Like, how did we get to this place where we can't even have a conversation?
Right.
Where we started off as friends, we started off as enjoying our relationship, but now we don't even like each other like that. We don't even like each other on just a basic, just a human level. Mm-hmm. Because so much has happened, your perspective has changed so much about that person, to where now you got people that are in relationships that they absolutely hate the person that they with. Now, I'm not talking about no abusive relationships and stuff like that. I mean, they generally just don't like the person that they are. But man, when the scary thing is, baby, is this. When I start like really digging into people's thoughts and perspectives, mm-hmm. If I got the husband and the wife, or the two people together, the scary thing is it's so similar. They're really a lot more alike than they think they are.
Yeah.
They really are. Like, when you start boiling it down and you start putting it in their face, like, well, you do this and you do that. Like, that's the similarity. That's why y'all can't get away from each other. Mm. So y'all may not be cordial, but y'all are the same. That disdain that you've developed for them is the same disdain that they developed towards you. So you know what? If I give you a punch, you're going to punch me back. Mm. So the disdain that I have for you is going to, you can't develop a relationship over time with disdain and not rub off on the other person to have that same level of disdain for you, because it's going to match. Like will always attract. Like, I don't care how you slice that. But in order to keep the connection and the relationship growing strong from the onset, when you get into the relationship, I think for us, what we kind of established early on and what we realized early on, obviously that the friendship is vitally important.
Yeah.
Like, but how do you maintain a friendship? And everybody knows how to do it. That's the craziest thing about it. everybody knows how to
complicated.
Yeah, it's just complicated now because you feel like, well, we're in a relationship, so it has to be different.
Right.
But that's part of the redefining process. It doesn't have to be different. It doesn't have to be different. Why does it have to be different? Other than the fact that y'all are having sexual activities. But realistically, when y'all were just friends having sex, y'all still, at least if y'all...
the friendship was still there.
Yeah, the friendship was still there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. At least enough for y'all to get married or get into a relationship. Because y'all could have just had sex one time and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
But something kept y'all together. So, you know, but I think the most important thing that we had to learn was the transparent communication and learning that this is just how I'm going to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I love you, but certain things I just want or need from the relationship, or certain things is just going to be there until I can figure out how to do it a different way. Now you can help me. And that's part of where the humility comes in the relationship. But you got to have that in place, that acceptance, I guess. I guess some people would call it acceptance in place.
For who their partner is?
For who the partner is and who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't make you accept something that I ain't accepted myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to first figure out, like, dang, I got to figure out, hey, these are my problems. Or these are the things I like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? These are the things I like, or these are the things. Because when you talking with your friends, you know you ain't no good. You know what I'm saying? So you know you ain't no good. But then when you try to get into a relationship, you try to act all, this or that. But you still got room to improve. Like you're just more honest and it's more flowing. You ain't got nothing to hide from the person. Mm-hmm. But when you start getting into a relationship, that's when people try to hide things, and that's when the relationship That's when the relationship really starts to take a negative turn, because now you're basing your relationship on two ideas of who a person should be, but is not.
Right.
You're not really there. So, but you got to be friends. You got to be light. You can't take stuff so personal and expect to have a healthy relationship. And that's any kind of relationship. That's friends, that's family, that's work. People going to say some off the wall stuff. But, just having that level of understanding that, this person really has my best interest at heart. So let me forgive, and let's try to repair and try to rebuild and regroup and keep the consistency going and not feel so offended and all that kind of stuff. But I think it starts with that as far as the friendship component. The other component, just like we said, just constantly keeping that communication, that connection together. Because I read this an article, it was talking about that most couples don't really have communication issues. Most couples. Now, I'm not saying all couples, but most couples, the issue is not communication. Communication is the issue because there is no connection. So the relationship itself, now they didn't say that, I put that together myself. I strung that together. But in so many words, they were saying that the connections are lacking. It's not necessarily that. And I'm putting this part in it. It's not necessarily that the communication is the problem. It's the connection that causes the communication to be the problem. So when there's
because they're not connected, or because there's disconnect, you can't communicate properly.
Exactly. It's like communicating with a stranger. There's no connection there to make you compelled to go deep into the intimate levels of who you are.
So how do you build that and without?
You got to rebuild it, because at that point it's been damaged, because there was a connection. So you got different levels of connection. The first connection, like the honeymoon phase is a connection level. And then, you got like, it gets more real. So in order to take it or continue to grow is you have to be more real. See, that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, people stop being real, or start expecting more from their partner than they're willing to invest into their partner. That causes a rift in the relationship, because now you're expecting your partner to do something that you're not willing to do in the relationship yourself. And I know this especially goes for men, because men do this a lot. They'll expect a woman to cook, clean, have sex, go to work, go to church, do all these different things that women want to do, and then come home and do what they want them to do. And women begin to build a certain level of resentment in the relationship, because they don't feel like it's being reciprocated, the respect or the appreciation or the mutual thing. Men will start to feel like there is no respect because you don't do what I say, and the women are starting to feel like, well, you don't appreciate me, so I'm not going to do what you say. So there's a never-ending circle of two people being selfish. Like attracts like. So the connection has to start with sacrifice. Sacrificing your position. And as a man, it's the most important thing for you to do as a man. It's to sacrifice your position. Now, I don't believe in compromise. Compromise is not something that I do. I knew I wasn't going to do this before I met my wife. But I never will compromise, ever. I'll sacrifice, but I will never compromise. Because you know what happens when you compromise over time?
What, resentment?
Resentment and selfishness starts to develop. Because neither one of them gets what they really want. Neither party gets what you really want when you have to constantly compromise. I'll make some concessions. There are certain times where I'll make concessions like, okay, we'll do it your way. But I've conceded and sacrificed my position so that you can have 100% of what you want. And I don't need anything, because I want you to enjoy it. I want you to have it. I want you to lavish in it. I want you to own it. I want it to be yours. And but on the flip side, fellas, if you want your woman to sacrifice for you, she will as you sacrifice for her. Compromising does not, over time, I know people redefine it and all that kind of stuff and say, well, we compromise, and they get happy. They started like say, well, yeah, we made it because we compromised. But if you really start looking at what they did, they really made sacrifices. But it's really all in the definition. And like I said, for me, going in, I know and knew that it was going to take sacrifices. That's the only way to get things long term. Because when you're playing, like when you're playing chess, you may have to sacrifice some pieces. You don't compromise pieces. You know what I mean? You may put them in a comparable position, but ultimately you're going to have to sacrifice to win the game. You ain't going to just not win the game without a piece. I mean, you can, but generally speaking, a good player, two good players, you're going to have to sacrifice some pieces in order to win the game, or in order to be a good player. So anyway, sacrificing, I made sure that I understood going in that sacrificing would be the thing that has to be done for us to get the most out of the relationship. Me giving her the opportunity to experience fully what she wants has allowed me to reciprocate the same thing, because that's one of the laws of human nature, is reciprocation. What I give you, you give to me. What you give me, I give back to you. That's why like attracts like. That's why you become more like who you're with, because they are giving to you what is in them. And you're becoming you. It's like a switch inside of us. When we receive something, we process it and then we give it right back. That's anything. If somebody, like I said before, somebody comes up, slaps you in the face, first you're gonna be startled. You're processing it. You're like, what the heck just happened? I didn't do nothing. Oh, we about to fight. Because now I'm gonna start throwing blows from that one thing that you did. Now on the flip side, if I say, hey, listen, there's refreshments in the back. There's snacks, you know what I'm saying? I got snacks Everything. Now, I ain't talking about some stranger. I'm talking about somebody you know, a friend. You go over a friend's house, and the friend say, hey, listen, anything you want in my house, it's yours. You can have it. I know you're hungry. Go ahead, refrigerator, everything. When they come over your house, hey, I'm offering you the same courtesy you offered me. Mm-hmm. So that's how we work as humans. We give what's been given to us. Hurt, pain, all that stuff that's been given to you in past relationships. That's why I had to do that last episode about getting over past relationship failures, because the things that you take forward are things that you received, and the things that you receive are what you give out. So if you have been done wrong, you're going to take a more selfish position moving forward into your next relationships, because you want to maintain that sense of not being taken advantage of. So it creates a selfishness going in. So guess what? Over time, the relationship becomes more and more selfish, more and more hardened, because that's what you're taking in, because you're protecting your position rather than sacrificing it for the benefit of the relationship. But that's how you maintain a good relationship, by sacrificing the things that previously were and realizing that in order for me to get it better, I have to give up my position on the previous way of looking at things. And then that translates over into the relationship. Now I'm sacrificing the things that you want to enjoy, and I want to enjoy, but you want to enjoy your thing. So I'm going to sacrifice my position and allow you to do that, because I know you will do the same for me when the time comes back around, as long as I understand the laws and the principles of human nature. Mm-hmm. Last but not least, we got to tie this thing up. One of the biggest things is learning how to be a student of my wife. I told myself, I promise y'all this. I said, I'm a study. I've always loved studying women. I've always loved women, right? And I've always loved, from the time I saw Boomerang, my favorite movie on earth, Eddie Murphy said, you got to study them. You got to watch the way they walk, the way they move. It's an art form. So I was like, huh. And it really became an art form, because I was listening to it. I watched that movie about 500 times. And I always, that was one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. So as I got older, because that came out in like 92, 93. So I was a young whippersnapper. But as I got older, that really stuck with me. And so that was the thing I always was like, huh. Now, as I got older, I was like, I really like studying women in general. And I found this to be true. And you can ask any of your homeboys, and you probably heard this before, but it's easier now. Pause right there. Pause on my relationship. Don't worry about my relationship, or generally speaking. It's easier to have 100 women and deal with 100 women than it is to deal with just one. That was my thinking before I met my wife. Well, way before I met my wife. That was my thinking, but that was my reality too. It wasn't just a thinking or a thought. It was like, I could have 100 different women, but at any moment I'm just going to deal with this one for a little bit. It was much harder to deal with that one woman, because I believed that it was going to be harder to deal with one woman than it was to deal with 100 women. I was like, man, forget that. I'm telling myself something different. It's easy to deal with one woman. And man, it's so easy to deal with one woman. It really is. It's so easy to deal with one woman. So much easier. Because I believe that it was, and I got the woman. Like, I believe that it was, and so the energy that I put towards the relationship and towards her has confirmed what I believe. And that's life. Mm-hmm. So I study my wife.
And I study you.
That's the key. That's the master key.
Yeah.
Just to literally study her like a class. Study our relationship like a
constantly.
Constantly.
And know it's constantly changing.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you can never, it ain't like you get like a degree or a plaque.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You get results. That's what you get. You get immediate results from the relationship. You get an immediate, it's even more immediate than school, because it's like, I can treat her one way today, and then tomorrow she'll be reciprocating that back to me, or the energy of her would be like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure it's vice versa.
Oh, yeah.
So, just constantly learn and understand and grow in your life and in your relationship, to keep it maintaining continuously, consistently, constantly reconnecting, keeping that friendship together, and just consistently learning about each other. That's how you maintain the relationship. And like I said, how you get the relationship. You got to really redefine what happiness means to you. What does it mean? What are you looking for?
Right. Don't just say it just to say it.
Nah, don't just say it just to say it. But realistically, what are you looking for? For me and for my wife, like progression, a progressive relationship, or a progressive partner that is moving in the direction of being better for me and me being better for them.
Exactly.
And just knowing that I can't do it all myself. I have to, in order for me to have a desire, I have to have something lacking. So I have to allow somebody to be what I'm not capable of being. And I have to allow her to be it the way that she is. Not the way I think she should do it and the way I think she should be, but allowing her to offer her best towards me and vice versa. She has to allow me to input and interject who I truly am into her life and vice versa. And that's how you sacrifice, by allowing.
That sounded good.
Thank you, thank you, baby. You know what I'm saying?
But it's true. It's true.
It is. You got anything else to add, baby?
No, you put a bow on that thing.
Well, y'all, this is episode number 29. My goodness, we are moving and grooving. We have our last episode coming up for this season. Now, we'll be back sometime, February of 2019 after the next episode. So I'm just telling y'all this for future references. So when y'all don't brace yourself, but make sure you go back and listen and go to the website. We're going to have blogs, books, everything is coming together, y'all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We trying to be your love hub, your go-to place, you know what I'm saying, to get it together. We taking y'all to the next level of relationships. So let's make them great and better than they ever been before.
That's right.
It's been Coach Elulu, right?
Yes.
And Coach Anthony. This has been the coaches in Relationships and Chill. You guys can catch us on Instagram at Relationships and Chill. At Relationships and Chill.
There you go.
Yeah. And Facebook, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The lady gonna tell y'all in the directions, but but Instagram at Relationships and Chill, ANDCHILL. Where can they find you at, baby? For all their workout health needs, because it's coming up on that time of the year.
I know,
and
right?
Now is the time to get your fitness together.
I'm prepping now with the ladies because we don't go in last minute in the new year.
Nah,
so
man, you don't want to wait.
You can reach me on my Instagram page at Coach Elulu. That's COACHELULU, and I'm over there working with the lovely ladies, helping them work on themselves and help them live in their purpose and attract what they're looking for.
That's right, baby. What else are you doing with the health and fitness stuff, though? Because that's what you want. You know what I'm saying? That'll boost your confidence, getting that together.
Exactly. So we're doing our daily workouts, have our nutrition plans. Currently, as we wrap up this year, we're going into mindset. So we're really focusing on that. Because you got to get the mind right before anything else. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there you go. You guys can contact her. No dudes, though, because I will shoot. No weird dudes. You know what I'm saying? Hey, come to me. You don't need to talk to her. Talk to me.
So, yes, make sure you reach out to me before the month is over, because we will be starting another group in January.
There you go. Well, this has been Relationships and Chill. How to build or how to get and maintain a happy relationship. Episode 29. My goodness. It's been real. It's been good.
It's been real good.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to Relationships and Chill. For more information on cultivating the relationship of your dreams, please follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Relationships and Chill, or subscribe to our YouTube channel at RelationshipsandchillTV. You can also visit our website at www.relationshipsandchill.com. Together, let's make relationships great again.